Super Nintendo World is the park that packs a plumber punch, lets you bing bing your wahoos, and where you can play Mario Kart without seeing a billion Waluigi Wiggler combos. I recently got to go to Super Nintendo World, and I'll start by saying that this video is not sponsored. I wish it was sponsored, but I had to attend the park without any VIP privileges and go through it as a casual. I went roughly a week after opening on a Tuesday thinking that I would be able to miss a plethora of Timmies because they'd be in school, right? How wrong I was. Apparently tons of parents pulled their kids out of class to visit the Mushroom Kingdom, and who would have guessed that all the children ditching school were incredibly ill-behaved. Kept getting grabbed and bumped into by kiddos whose parents just barely mustered out a don't. And yet, if I push them over and laugh at them, I'm the bad guy. Admittedly, it was kind of endearing seeing how excited kids got over hitting blocks, so I guess I shouldn't be complaining too much going to a children's theme park as a man-child. So, spawns aside, let's talk about the park itself. Super Nintendo World is the most interactive park I've been to. You kinda have to purchase the power bands, but they double as amiibos too, and it's not like you gotta snag them every time. Inside the park, there are 2 major rides and about 4 mini-games. Alongside that, there are a ton of blocks and Mario items that can interact with the bands, bump blocks, and earn coins for whatever team you picked. The major ride is Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge. It's a semi-virtual reality game where 4 people are put in a cart, given goggles, and have a steering wheel with triggers. The game is played by moving the steering wheel left and right when it turns to drift and gain coins. You'll also go through item boxes giving you shells to blast targets where you aim by looking. It's really cool seeing all the characters racing around you, and there's little secrets you can find too. At the end, it shows a leaderboard with the totals of your cart, the daily high score, and a monthly high score. The second major thing is a fight against Bowser Jr., but you can't actually go to it right away. As mentioned earlier, the park has several mini-games, which are just super quick attractions. One has a Koopa shell bumping back and forth, and you need to hit a POW block to set off a chain reaction and knock it into the air and get the key. Another is turning a crank to trip a Goomba, and there's a panel puzzle under Womp, and then the Piranha Plant maze, which admittedly I couldn't try because it was undergoing maintenance when I was there. There's generally lines for these, but they go pretty fast, especially when you got a bunch of gamers ahead of you that first try all the minigames. They do have time limits though, and it is possible to fail. I witnessed a plethora of Timmies failing and then crying because they had to get back in line. I definitely didn't get Schadenfreude, because that'd be awful. Once you gain 3 keys, you and about 10 other players can challenge Bowser Jr. in a pretty interesting attraction. You stand on a platform and your silhouette becomes your player. You'll need to swipe bombs at Jr., dodge fireballs by ducking, and jump to get power-ups. You are kind of working as a team, but there are bonuses you can get for yourself. You see, one of the coolest features about this park is actually the mobile app. It keeps track of your progress, shows leaderboards, has a map, and houses the stamp feature. The stamps are basically just achievements for the park. You unlock them by doing various things. Some simple things like hitting a brick to slightly more complex ones like finding the hidden blocks in the Bowser Challenge or placing first multiple times. I mean, I love theme parks, but whenever I go back to them, obviously the thrill kind of dissipates. You can't experience the rides for the first time again after all. But with this, you actually still kind of get a thrill repeating rides since there's no way to unlock everything in one go. Some of the stamps are even tied to visiting the park on a certain date. I actually love this little feature because it gives you something to like shoot for and celebrate every time you show up. I was also lucky enough to get a reservation at the Toadstool Cafe, which features a plethora of Mario-themed meals and the absolute worst downgrade in history. Princess Peach canonically hates America. I don't blame her. I was surprised too. Not only was the food delicious, but it actually didn't bankrupt me. All this food wound up being like $115, which obviously is still a lot, but like for theme park food, it's not bad. The Luigi Burg was my favorite. It was a chicken pesto sandwich, and it came with fries that had a very light garlic parm seasoning. It was so tasty, and then they gave you extra pesto for dipping your fries in. Admittedly, the dessert was a little bit of a letdown. The tiramisu was fine, just nothing amazing, and they were out of the beanpole cake, and as mentioned, the cupcake was just a giant letdown compared to the actual cake that Japan gets. It was just kind of a funfetti cupcake with admittedly very tasty frosting, but still. All in all, it was a fantastic trip, and I loved the park. Waiting in line wasn't even a huge bother either because the areas were filled with like little Easter eggs and screens that play cute little animations of the characters. Chef Toad even talks to you while you wait for food, and it was interesting to hear Toad talk in complete sentences again, since I haven't heard that since Sunshine, not counting the Mario movie, of course. keep in mind, if you do plan on going, you will need to use the virtual pass feature on the app. Super Nintendo World itself is sort of separate. They don't let you in without a reservation, but you can stay in as long as you want. You can only reserve spaces with the app, and it doesn't let you unless you're actually in the park, like it reads your GPS. This upset a lot of people, but it kept the park from being too crowded. Like, I went there a week after opening, and it was really pleasant. The Mario Kart ride even broke down right before we got on, and a lot left in rage, but my friend and I just walked around and admired the scenery. We even talked to the staff apologizing to them because they had to deal with a plethora of Karens demanding the world from them. They were so appreciative that they gave us water and jelly beans while we waited. Like I said though, overall a great trip. You know, until I had to travel American Airlines the following day to get home, had my flight canceled, lost my first class upgrade, had to take a different flight to Dallas and got stranded there for 2 days without my luggage or a hotel comp, and was basically told to suck it and fend for myself by the airline. So TLDW, Super Nintendo World rocks, and American Airlines can suck my